The marijuana trade and police officers have historically been at odds, but after several states legalized pot, those same officers who kept the drug off the streets are now helping to protect it. Alan Schaffler reports now from Seattle.
How many different cameras do you have here? Or can you tell me?
We have hundreds.
Jake Ryan guarding the goods, using all he learned in 17 years in law enforcement, including undercover work with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
My whole policing career has been spent, investigating narcotics, including cannabis.
But this is a career change. Now he's protecting the pot, heading security for an enormous medical marijuana producer licensed by the Canadian government. Ryan shrugs off suggestions he's some kind of traitor to his former trade.
I mean, it's prescribed by a doctor. It's for the benefit of Canadians' health, yes, it's a different transition, but I'm fine with it because really that's what it is.
His boss sees the skill sets and knowledge from a law enforcement career as a natural fit for this blooming industry.
We had a 2-month period where a former DEA agent from the U.S. was driving around British Columbia, touring cannabis grows to find the best genetics that he could find.
In 6 weeks, I saw more grow operations than I had in 15 years.
Patrick Moen is that former DEA agent. For more than a decade, busting drug rings was his job.
It's going to be a little complicated because they created it.
An attorney, he now works for the Seattle venture capital firm behind Tilray and many other pot-based businesses, navigating the changing legal landscape. He says he feels a responsibility
to stand up this industry and to make sure that it's compliant, transparent, professional, well-run, because really it's a mainstream product that's sought out by mainstream Americans.
But the concept of pot as mainstream is hardly universal in law enforcement.
I would never make the jump. I would never make the jump for any amount of money.
Tom Gorman has fought the drug trade at various levels of law enforcement for 45 years, currently running a federal drug enforcement program out of Denver.
How do you do that as a cop? When all your life you're upholding your oath of office, and now just like that, you can turn on it. Why would you do that? I don't know.
Both Moen and Ryan say former colleagues are supportive. They expect to see more pot fighters becoming pot facilitators. Alan Schaffler, Al Jazeera, Seattle.
Pope Francis says legalizing a drug like marijuana is a failed and flawed experiment. During a speech to a drug enforcement conference, the Pope said preventing drug use cannot be solved with more drugs. The U.S. is not the only country considering loosening its laws on marijuana. Uruguay started allowing the sale of pot cigarettes in pharmacies just last month. Meanwhile, marijuana businesses in Colorado are rallying to fight for the right to advertise. Ines is back with that story. Ines.
Tony, right now marijuana businesses aren't allowed to advertise on social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Google, even if it's medical marijuana products. So other businesses are trying to fill that void. Massroots is like an Instagram for the marijuana community. They have over 100,000 users and they post pictures of marijuana on this site. In fact, this site plans to start advertising soon. I spoke with Paris Hawley. He's the co-founder of a Colorado-based company for online advertisers that cater to this industry. Take a listen.
The cannabis industry really doesn't have a brand. When you think of any other industry, whether it's BMW, McDonald's, you have something that the consumers can attach themselves to and get excited about. And for the most part, when you are a consumer in the cannabis industry, you walk through the doors of a dispensary and you're really relying on the bud tender behind the counter to really give you advice. So there's very little opportunity for education at the consumer level for these companies. So whether you are a manufacturer of vaporization devices or you create rolling papers, or perhaps you're more on the lifestyle part of the industry, it's really hard to get your name out there unless those same patients and consumers are also going to the consumer-driven events and seeing your product in front of them.
Now, there is some leniency when it comes to online advertising if you're talking about a company that's a nonprofit. And it's also okay for companies to set up websites on their Facebook website. But reaching that massive audience, it's not that easy it's of a task for these businesses. And Paris says he sees himself and his peers as pioneers in establishing standards for social media advertising. And Tony, there's a summit that's going on next week in Colorado, and you can bet that this will be one of the topics that they'll talk about.
Yeah, but it's getting so much free advertising. You wonder if it begins to balance out at a particular point. But I know you'd like to sort of control your marketing dollars. All right, Maria, appreciate it.
Thank
Good to see you. Thank you.